And if that's if the goal is to make good money quickly, then we have to have these specific things.
Hello and welcome to episode 42 of the Life Insurance Academy podcast. I'm your host, Austin Lopes-Silvero, and I'm here with Chris Ball, Zach McElwain, and Roger Short. The LIA podcast takes you into the conversations of top producing life insurance agents so that you can level up your business. For episode notes and resources, and to be the first to know about new shows and announcements, visit liapodcast.org/subscribe and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Life Insure Acad. Well, welcome to another episode, guys. So good to see you again. We have Roger back in the studio in the States. Good to see you, Roger. Happy, healthy, and back.
It's good to be back. It's great to be back. It's beautiful here, and you guys are very beautiful also.
Aww.
Roger, what's a highlight from Canada? The Canadas.
A highlight? Well, other than seeing my parents,
that's
my
a big
aging
win.
parents, that's a win. That was why I went, obviously, but got to take out some all-terrain vehicles and go off-roading, and it was a blast. I'm by the lake where I grew up.
I was really hoping you'd come back with an accent.
Yeah,
Or salmon.
or a salmon,
Or a salmon. That'd be cool.
Awesome. Well, guys, what are we diving into on today's episode?
So over the course of the podcast, we've gotten a lot of calls from agents, and the questions they have is, "Hey, Chris, how do I make money quickly in life insurance?" Like, there's an urgency to this conversation, and when I say 3 to 6 months, there's some processes that become roadblocks, and we'll discuss this in their process. So my question I have many times from these conversations is, are agents in the right vehicle to get them where they want to go?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they'll get recruited into these business models, let's say, for the lack of a better term, a business model, or it's an idea, a dream career, a financial advisor, a financial services industry, become a professional in the financial services industry. It sounds very intriguing. It sounds high end. It sounds, admirable. It sounds profitable, right? And they get into the business, and usually the entry level for a lot of these companies is the insurance, right? Because you don't need any Series 6, you don't need any other licenses or designations to sell, mutual funds or other investment type products. And so they start at the base level, which is life insurance, cancer policies, like the basics. And a part of the training platform in a lot of those organizations is you'll have a manager work with you, and they will work your warm market. It's your leads. Basically, it's the people that you know. So you're introducing them to the financial services professional, and the training takes place as you're observing or shadowing them in their process with your family members and your friends. And 2 months in, 6 weeks in, or 2 months in, they've worked through pretty much all of your warm market. And now they say, now you go do likewise.
Yeah.
And then the agent realizes, okay, hold on a minute. Who do I go to see now? So now you have to work on the lesser qualified people, or the less warm of your warm market, so to speak, because the people who were the highest intent or the highest probability for sales were already seen by that manager. And so it's a program that was set up to get you started, but that program is not always set up to make you money quickly. And now there's a gauntlet that you have to figure out to run to become profitable. And so what you thought you were getting recruited to becomes very different, because here you are 6 weeks in, 8 weeks in, 90 days in, and you're not making enough money. And now you're like, oh crap, like I've got to make money or else I'm not even going to survive this thing to become this financial services or this financial advisor or this life agent, this have this professional career. Like, I need to make money. And then we get the call.
Yeah.
Hey, how do I make money? And so it's like a panic button. Like, they hear our podcast and they're dialing in, Chris, how do I make money quickly or else I'm not going to survive? And so then we have to analyze a few things.
Yes. And that goes back to this question, is it the right vehicle to get you where you want to go? Because if you are moving to this financial advisor Series 6 conversation, and there's a strength in it, really. I mean, it is a model that works. A lot of people are doing it, and it just takes time. It takes time to build credibility, It takes time to generate leads or build a brand, your brand, and
Referral market.
yeah, your referral market. I mean, that is really the source of income for people, is building a strong referral market. And yeah, there's a great income at the end of that rainbow. The tricky part is, do you have the resources in place? Like maybe do you have a lot of savings, because it's going to take a while to get to the income to be able to become that person that you dream of being.
And Chris, another thing that you need is for people that are looking at this is, do you have financial credibility with your warm market?
Yeah.
Because you may be coming in this industry and you come from something totally different. You may be in the services industry. You may be blue collar worker. You may be in the labor market. Like, there's a lot of different things you could be doing.
You were cutting hair a week ago.
Yeah, and you have no financial credibility when it comes to financial services. And so now, like, it's kind of unreasonable to expect your family and friends to say, yeah, I know you were a painter for 12 years and you've done great jobs. I've seen some of the homes you've painted, but now you want to manage my money and help me with my life insurance. I need to see a little something first. So it's going to take some time for you to build that up. People don't just say, yeah, let me do all of my business with you now because you just switched careers a week ago or a month ago. So it's unrealistic to expect that you can immediately transition to that. You've got to get established somewhere in the market. You've got to get started, and you've got to sustain and work your way into that career if that's your track that you're on.
So the very first thing you have to identify is, what is it you're trying to accomplish? In today's podcast, what we're going to do is look at the ingredients for people to be successful, to make money quickly. Like, if you're going to make money quickly, then you need to have these ingredients in your make money quickly cake. It just has to be there.
When we get the phone calls, one of the first things we have to do is say, what type of vehicle are you in? Where do you want to go? And how do these two line up? And is that going to get you there?
And when do you need to get there?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, when they enter in these captive agencies or these, I would say, career type life insurance, they're more like jobs to me. Like, this is, they're like barely being introduced to entrepreneurship, and it's kind of a rude awakening that after the first 6 months, 8 months, or whenever your warm market is worked down, then you come to that realization like, I thought this was going to be a lot different. Now, how am I going to get, like you said, this credibility? How am I going to go from 6 months to 4 years in before people start trusting me that I know what I'm doing? And it's really like, you're going into this as a job. I'm going to the office, financial advisor, drive nice cars. Like, you have all these expectations, and you realize like, this isn't quite what I thought it was. This wasn't what I was expecting. It's going to take me a lot longer to get there. This may not be the right vehicle. And it's like that aha moment, because, when we get these phone calls, they've never seen another side of life insurance. It's like a whole new world. I mean, it's
Sing it, brother. Sing it.
It just opens up. They're like, wow, I didn't even know this
girl
was.
At home.
I do. I love that movie, by the way. I've watched it many times. But to see this whole world open up of opportunity and compensation. And the thing I appreciate about these people, that they have a hunger, they have a desire, they want to succeed, except they thought they had all the tools in their bag, or they thought they were in that right vehicle, but it's not. And all of a sudden they see this, Life Insurance Academy bus come screaming by and saying Tampa on it, and
I like that it's screaming by, man.
I mean, it's going. I mean, it's the one stop, right? It just kind of, then they start to see the whole nother level of entrepreneurship. And if they're going to put this much hustle into it, like, work smarter, not harder,
Yeah. And if that's if the goal is to make good money quickly, then we have to have these specific things. And the very, very first thing is qualified leads. And I think it's important for us to understand that your friends and family are not a qualified lead. You can sell to them, but it doesn't mean it's qualified.
A list of names and numbers
is not a qualified lead.
Isn't that a qualified lead?
No, that used to be called a phone book.
Yeah. It did, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we do have those conversations. We do see those things. Another scenario that we see is an agent who may be receiving a lead that is for information for dental insurance, and their biggest hope is to sit down with somebody in a union and have a conversation with them and transition to life insurance from a dental lead.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we're going to work that into the conversation.
Would you consider that a qualified lead?
No,
I mean, they received a lead.
I consider that a bait and switch. That's what I consider that.
I mean, it's an opportunity to get in front of somebody who needs insurance of some type, and then that allows you to massage that relationship to, uncover other needs. So to an extent, I would say it is a lead. How good of a lead it is, or how, a direct correlation to the specific product you're there to sell them, it's probably 3 steps removed.
So how would you define a qualified lead for an agent who is getting lists, who's making lists, who's calling business to business? These are the conversations. I mean, this is what's happening.
That's just self-hustle. I mean, that's just hustling. Anybody can do that.
And you can sell.
Yes, people make it. I mean, that's the way life insurance used to be sold back in the day.
Yeah.
Literally door to door. And then when you get a client, you ask for referrals and you make a list of their family and friends. And then you say, can I call them? Let's call them now. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to do it. We did a whole podcast on how to generate free leads through referrals. I mean, it's possible. But for people who walk into a business and say, I want to make money quickly, and they're in a captive relationship, they may not be in the right vehicle because that vehicle has some limitations. It is a unicycle, and you're trying to get to Cozumel. It's like you've got some limitations, so we have to address those.
How would you define a qualified lead? How would you define it so that they have a clear understanding?
A qualified lead to me is someone who has responded to an offer for a specific product or service that they have an interest in finding out more information about that particular product or service within a reasonable period of time, within a short period of time.
What he's saying is when you go talk to them, they understand that it's life insurance and not vacuum cleaners.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or that I'm here to talk to you about all your insurance needs and your wife's life insurance as well, not just dental insurance through your work and union.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another key ingredient in making income quickly in life insurance is working in a niche.
I think working in a niche in any industry is where you can really make good money. Not just life insurance. It's if you focus on a niche and get really good at something, and you know how to deliver that, you can be paid very well to do that. I mean, we see it in the medical profession. I mean, medical specialists are paid a lot more than the general practitioner. They just make more money. Why? Because it's a more refined scope. It's a narrowed scope. So people who focus on a specific area in tech, for instance, or communications. I mean, these people always make more money than generalists. It's the same thing in life insurance. This industry is so broad. It's really financial services, right? Because we're taking care of people's financial picture, their big picture. When something happens, I'm going to have life insurance in place, either as a living benefit or a death benefit for my family. So that is a financial service that we're providing. But boy, that's a big landscape.
Yeah.
There's IULs for tax-free retirement planning. There's mortgage protection insurance, which is term, typically with living benefits. There's whole life for cash value accumulation. There's final expense planning for seniors who haven't paid, who haven't saved up or paid for this in advance, and they're now trying to figure out a solution for that. There's kids policies that you can invest in to let them grow over time. Like, there are so many products in life insurance. Where do you focus? And a lot of these captive groups are just broad. They're general.
They're doing it all at once.
They're doing it all at once. And so when you're doing your training with them, they're training you on product. They're not necessarily training you on sales or defining a niche. So during your training, you may be with one manager who likes to sell to young families with mortgages. And that's kind of where and you go out and ride with another manager, and he's focused on just taking care of the basic needs as far as life insurance goes, and they're trying to transition into more of a conversation about financial services, mutual funds, long-term care planning, stocks. There's all kinds of conversations, but you'll find different people. And so as a new person, you're coming out of there going, so now what do I do? And they will go do what we did. Well, I've never been trained to do a niche thing, so it's hard for me to put my hands on something because everything just seems so broad. It seems like I can't get my arms around it, and I don't know how to make money quickly because I don't know how to turn it over quickly. There's probably our formula that we should talk about, I think.
Yeah. as far as this niche conversation, this is the simplest way to understand it inside of life insurance. Is that people on average, they purchase life insurance 7 times in their lifetime, and we've referred to that in other podcasts, and that always seems like a really high number to me. I'm like, holy cow! But it makes sense when you start to understand that people get married, they buy houses, they have a kid, they have 10 kids. Each time the need changes, that's when they may purchase life insurance. Their job changes, they purchase life insurance. They retire. All these moments. And when you're broad and you're reaching into when we say warm market, your friends, your family, your acquaintances, people you don't know which one of these 7 times it is in their life. And it may not be any of those times, and you're just banking on your relationship. Like, help a brother out. Like, can you help me out and purchase a policy?
Yeah, you want them to buy for you.
Yeah.
You're not there to meet their need.
Yeah, correct.
And that's backwards.
Now, these first two, Chris, like you've said it multiple times, how do I make money quick? And, and Roger alluded to being in a niche. And like when you dive into that, that's all about specializing. That's all about training. And you can easily, when you have that broad, it's, paralysis by analysis. It's not knowing what to do, where to go. There's a lot of dead time in that.
It's like looking at an elephant and how do I eat this thing?
Exactly. But when you want to make money quick, like being in a niche market, specializing in mortgage protection only or final expense only or a combination of both, but this is the type of insurance you get into instead of every financial product, guess what? Your qualified lead is also that niche. So that is dialed in. So even when you're in that sit, you're more efficient. You know what you're talking about. The focus is taking care of burial or protecting the home. It isn't, okay, where's your 401k? Do you have an annuity? Like it dials in your sit, it dials in your efficiency. So now you have more people to see in that qualified niche of a lead, and you have the qualified training and product to follow that up. And the more leads you have, the more opportunity you have. You can literally sit with families each and all day long, 5 to 6 families a day, and you're going to get applications, which is going to generate money quick. So I couldn't help to think, when you're saying money quickly, there's time involved in every bit of this.
Zach, it's interesting, your point, because you said something there that I think a lot of agents don't understand. You said something, and I don't even know if you even caught what you said. You said, if you dial it in, you can give yourself more opportunity. What a lot of people think is if I narrow my scope if I put it too narrow, I've limited my opportunity, right? That's how they're seeing it, because if I only do that, then what about the people who need this? And what about the people who need that? And then there's so much opportunity out here. Why would I limit myself? The exact opposite is true. So first of all, there's enough business in all of these markets for more than you can ever handle in your lifetime. Let me just be straight up clear about that. Like the final expense market, for instance, is booming. I mean, it is a niche that I say it's the best kept secret in life insurance sales, because people don't think there's any money there because of the low income household, the household income status of most of the clients in this category. In the mortgage protection market space, people say, well, it's very limited because what happens if mortgage rates go up, or if the market shifts. Yes, that does happen. But when it's hot, man, it's running hot, and it runs hot. And there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of potential prospects and people who need this service. So by focusing in, narrowing in, you're not giving yourself less opportunity. You're giving yourself a more focused opportunity. It's like taking that magnifying glass in the sun and putting the power of that sun at the right angle into that magnifying glass, and literally you can burn your name into a piece of wood. You know what I mean? You've done this as a kid.
You know who did this the best? Henry Ford. I mean, look at the assembly line. I mean, if you take a group of guys, and how long would it take them if they all just worked on the entire bit of the car? You had everybody did a little tire, put the bumper on the engine, versus everybody, you're a tire guy. You're our final expense. You focus on this. You're the mortgage protection. You're the engine. And everybody does their part. And they all focus. They get really good. They get really efficient. They make a lot of money. They produce a ton more cars.
Yeah, there's one coming off the line like every 37 seconds. A new car coming out the gate.
Yeah.
Crazy. So when you focus and you specialize, you give yourself more opportunity to make more money quickly and efficiently, because you know the process, you know the market, you can dial in, and you can be the expert in that area and dominate.
This qualified lead and niche market, like merging these two together, I think it helps for you as the listener to understand how that works. So when we talk about this moment in people's lives when they need life insurance, those 7 times, the question as an organization that we ask is, when are those moments? And we've identified them, buying a house, having kids, all these things. But our big question is, are there demographics that we can pull data from? Can we pull the data from those demographics?
Well, yes, we can, Chris.
Yes, we
can.
Yes.
And one
Well,
thing
why don't you tell us about that, Zachary?
Well, when you look at lead programs, and my goal as an agent is to work the most qualified lead I possibly can. You know why? Because you said it. I want to make money quickly. I don't want to have this drawn out. We don't have one catch-all lead. If you want a vacuum cleaner, life insurance, burial insurance, or car insurance, or somebody
a
to cut your
subscription
grass.
to Time Magazine.
It doesn't work that way because it's just not going to work. People search. We're in the environment now where if you want something, you're not Google searching life insurance. You're Google searching, where can I get final expense burial insurance, or how can I pay for my funeral? Like everything we do is getting more specific. If I want to be more efficient, I'm going to do that. So for your point, Chris, like every different type of insurance, we have different leads for them.
Yes.
So we can have is the highest quality lead we possibly can, so we can have higher conversions,
Absolutely.
so we can see more people, so we can make more money, all in a compressed time frame.
So the ones that rise to the surface, like it would be very difficult for us to pull data on, how many babies are born this month. And I don't know if you would be able to write enough policies on that. Maybe you could, I don't know. But the data that rises to the surface for us in these niches is final expense. It is mortgage protection, because we can pull data from 50 to 80-year-olds.
Right now it's also Medicare for health insurance agents.
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
about the Medicare market right now. It's on. Right now we're in the annual enrollment period, so it's on fire. Right?
Yeah,
People
they're not
are
even
writing
listening right now.
tons. No, they're not listening to this. They're just writing apps right now.
Yeah. And the other one is when people generate a mortgage. These are public records that we can draw information from, that we can market to and generate leads. So I think, that clarifies some things for our listeners who are asking, well, why do you guys always talk about Medicare, mortgage protection, and final expense? We know we can get in front of those people. That's why we talk about it. We know
we know the need is real.
Yeah, it's real. There's a request.
We know we can make money quickly.
Absolutely.
So if you're in one of those captive groups and you're trying to figure out a way to sustain your career, sustain your life as an agent so that you can live to fight another day, I think you need to focus in on something. You need to narrow it down and get specific. And if it's available within your model, so if your vehicle is right and you can do it within your model, focus in on something and get good at that.
Absolutely.
But the vehicle may not be right.
Yeah.
And there may be some other limiting factors.
And here's where it gets a little tricky, is if you're looking for qualified leads in a niche market, many times it can be a challenge inside of these models because the compensation isn't there to be able to support purchasing leads. You guys have seen this.
Many times.
We have a lot of these conversations, and the agents I speak to, it's not even on their radar. It isn't even on their radar. Like they're saying, okay, man, I'm in. I love the podcast. I would love to do this. How do I get leads? How do I buy leads? And can we help? Yeah, we can help. I'd love to help. But I don't feel responsible, like it's the responsible thing to direct them to purchase leads when their compensation isn't there to support it. So there's...
Chris, what does that mean? We got some listeners, and they're like, "What does he mean by that? My compensation? I mean, I'm with one of these major companies in America. Everybody knows this company. This is a great company. What do you mean the compensation is not right? I know plenty of people make lots of money with this company.
Right.
What does that mean?
So they may have started in their organization on a draw on commission, but their commission,
what does that mean?
A draw where they're receiving maybe a salary that is based on their future sales. Okay. So, which feels really good.
A draw on commission means they're advancing you money against commissions that you're going to earn. So if you don't start earning those commissions soon, that draw goes away. It's not a salary, right? But for an explanation purpose, and people who don't understand that, like it's an amount of money that you get paid every 2 weeks, but it's based on future earnings that they're anticipating you will have. If that doesn't happen, that goes away quickly, and you find yourself in free fall now. The draw's gone, and now you got to make it on full commission.
And many times after that has happened, that's why we have these conversations at this point, because the draw tends to be wrapping up, or they didn't perform at the level that would support the draw. So the compensation or the commission schedule that they're on, they may be at a 50% compensation. And you might be thinking, especially if you've never been in sales, or you've been in sales and you sold something else and you're thinking, I can make 50%. Are you kidding me? That sounds absolutely amazing. And you're on cloud nine, because you might have been in a sales program where you got 3% or 11%, like you
and
were
Chris,
doing.
even when we say 50%, I mean, that's still such a subjective term, because every company out there sets that up differently. Like, we can say 50%, but for some companies, it's 50% of the first deposit, the first month's premium. And then after that, it's this percentage of that. And then you get so much of this as a trail once the rest starts. With other people, it's like, okay, it's 50% of the 9-month advance, or you got to look at your compensation. If you figure out a good way as a baseline to figure out compensation is, what is the annual premium? So if we're talking about life insurance, Medicare obviously operates differently because they have set commissions that are paid out. But on the life side, you could say, what is the annualized premium? So if a client pays $50 a month for a policy, that's $600 a year. What is the amount of commission that I'm going to receive on that $600 annual premium? If it's going to be at the end of the year about $300 on a $600 annual premium, then that's about a 50% compensation on that plan. So your comp, as Chris would say, is 50%. Now, there's probably a bunch of algorithms and formulas to get to an end number, but that's a good way to calculate the end result. Like, what's my total comp on the annual premium? That's usually the commission schedule.
There might be some bonuses that are built into that system, but the hard part for an agent is financing their leads, because that's a marketing cost, and the organization isn't going to finance those leads. The agent needs to finance those leads, and if they're at that specific compensation, which I tend to have a conversation about frequently, it's very difficult to be able to support it, because you don't have enough income coming in. So if you're at that 50% compensation on your sales, it can be very difficult to generate enough income to support your life and your needs along with your marketing costs. So that is a conversation that I typically have in regards to compensation.
And it's like a catch-22. You're trying to generate sales, because with production and monthly production benchmarks, you can receive increases in your compensation. But you're expected to do that in a warm market. However, most of your warm market lead was worked by your managers while you were in training, so you've kind of used those up. Now you don't have the finances to purchase leads outside of that, so now it's still based on warm market. And you're trying to figure out, how do I scale up my compensation to become successful in this financial services industry? I can't claim to help other people with their finances when I don't know how I'm going to pay the bills at the end of the month, right? I'm just posturing. I'm pulling up here in a car and I'm thinking, if I don't make money soon, I'm not going to be able to make my car payment next month. And that's the reality. So we have to address that.
I just want to say that 50% isn't always bad. It's 50% of what? Because at the end of the day, we're not here on percentages. We're here to make money and to provide for our families and to reach our goals and dreams. So you always say 50% of what? Well, it's all those other pieces that are involved in there. And what I mean by that is, if you're on a 50%, but you're getting a high influx of very qualified leads that you don't have to pay for, and you're seeing people every week, and you have the training and the backing and the support of an agency that comes behind you and teaches you exactly what to do, I can promise you that that agent that's receiving 50% of comp, but all those support and all those qualified opportunities, they're going to make a lot more money than somebody that may on a 75 or 100% contract that doesn't have all the support. Where this becomes an issue because you have to understand that an organization that's going to come behind you and that's going to support you and help you, and they're going to generate all of these costs. Like all of that costs money. So they're paying for all those marketing services out of that compensation is why it's at 50%. But that allows them to make a lot more money. Where it becomes an issue is if you're at that lower compensation, but yet you don't have the training and support and nobody's taught you how to do it or do it efficiently and walk you through the process. If you don't have any qualified leads to run or even a system on how to get in front of people, if you're scrambling, you're hustling, you're calling businesses, you're talking to everybody you know, everybody past the grocery store, and you're just trying to make one sale, but yet you only have this 50% comp and you don't have that training, this is the conversations we're having, Chris, just to clarify, because that is an issue. Like, where are you going to come up with that? Because now you need leads, you have to have leads, you need to survive, you need to make money, you don't have money to buy the leads. Like, you're strained.
Yeah, and you actually may be with a good company that has a good track record nationally, but you just may be with a bad branch, or you just may be with a bad team or group. When I say bad, I don't mean they're necessarily innately bad people. I just mean they're not providing those services that Zach is talking about the way that other groups within that same larger organization are providing them. You just might got the bad luck of the draw because of where you live and who they connected you with or who you got recruited to. And so it's not always an organization. People say, well, I mean, our organization is phenomenal. Look at all the great things we do. And, we've got a Better Business Bureau rating of such, we're national advertising on TV. I mean, everything. But you just might be with people who are not providing those services to you in a duplicatable, translatable fashion that you can go out and turn over and make money this week.
And the reality is there is a prospecting piece that is expected versus generating a lead. In most cases, in most of these conversations that we're seeing. And the thing that always just surprises me is, why wouldn't you have a higher compensation and move towards purchasing your leads and work the same model? Like maybe you don't have money for leads. That's an example I'm talking about, okay? Maybe you don't. But if you're at a higher compensation, being an independent advisor, do you think you could sell to your family and friends? Do you think you could generate some sales that way?
Well, you're already generating
That's my point.
You're already hustling. You're already trying to find a sale to pay your bills. I mean, you can pick up a couple more of those sales, but now you have a higher comp.
Yeah.
And then you understand the value of a true qualified lead, which most of these agents have never worked in their entire life. So they don't understand the efficiency in investing because it's not a cost, it's an investment. And when they can make one or two sales on a higher comp, boom, all of a sudden now they have 2 or 3 weeks worth of leads. Now they can invest in leads, and now they're off and running. And guess what happens, Chris? They make money quickly.
Quickly. A lot of money quickly.
Yeah, I'll give a specific case in point. So we have agents that work with us on the agency side, and they buy leads or invest in leads, or they're on an earned lead program, or they're on a paid lead program. They may be in final expense or mortgage protection or Medicare. They may be doing telephone sales. Like, there's lots of different areas where they can land and get connected to one of our groups. One of our agents, we just started a new digital campaign for him just over the past weekend, and those leads started to deliver. Those are online leads, and he took 3 of those and went and had 3 presentations, I believe, or two presentations out of 3 leads, and wrote 3 applications for $5,100 in premium.
That is correct.
And he was ecstatic. Well, that's and upon contact, they were like, "Yes, please, yes, come over. We need to talk to you." And he went on in and sat down and worked the program, worked the system that has training and support. It has leads, and he's on a good contract. He's on a good compensation program, and he'll make $3,000 or $4,000 out of that sale last night. And so that was one day. But it's based on qualified leads, on a compensation plan, and a structural system to support it. So those are all some key pieces that go into making a successful transition to making money quickly.
All your time and effort goes to writing apps instead of prospecting.
And the last ingredient in some of these conversations that I've been having is in regards to training. And there seems to be a high focus on learning products, because if you're generalized, you have to get caught up on products. You have to understand how they all work to be able to, meet the need or the perceived need of the people that you're sitting with. The challenge is, at some point, you can learn all the products you want. You could be the encyclopedia of life insurance, but if you don't know how to sell, then that's a major problem. And that's Roger, in our organization and the things I've learned, the psychology of the sale is such an important piece in this. And I'd be curious to know in some of these organizations, who's rising to the top. And like you said, there might be some branches that are doing these things and they're doing a great job. And if it's getting you to where you want to go, high five. You're doing great. Keep doing what you're doing.
Keep listening. Keep doing what you're doing, and send us your success stories. We'd love to hear them.
We would love to hear it. And you're doing a fantastic job. But if you find yourself in this need of all of these pieces, including the training, then you need to understand there's a deficit there that's pretty significant. The reason you saw sales, and maybe you had some success, minor success at the beginning, but you're calling in at this point, is because you had relational credibility and professional credibility when your manager, your advisor went with you and sat with those people, and there was some trust that was built. But now you're picking up the phone and you're calling business to business. There is a whole sales skill that is required. You did this. Mm-hmm. There's a whole sales skill that is different from face-to-face, person-to-person in the home sale that is required. And that requires a specific skill set.
Yeah, and it's different than learning about life insurance products. Yeah. It's not life insurance products training. Mm-hmm. A lot of companies will teach this product can do this and this product can do that, and the product specialists come out and they get so excited and they tell you all about what the products can do, and you say, fantastic, I have no idea how to deliver this to a consumer, right? I'm so excited that you're developing the product, but the reason they've hired me is because apparently you're not very good at getting it to the consumer, so you need me, and no one's teaching me how to do that part. If you're doing phone sales, or you're doing door knocks, or you're setting appointments for leads, or you're trying to network on your own, and there's really nobody walking alongside you and giving you step-by-step how to do that, it's going to be a lot of trial and error. So you need a few things. You either need a big bank account, a lot of financial credibility before you start, and some finances to sustain it, or you need to be plugged into a system that provides those tools and pieces where you can specialize in the niches. And interestingly, Matt Monero and Judge Graham, two guys, very successful in business. They host a boot camp called Burn the Ships. It's on scaling and growing your business. I think they're going to be joining us in a few weeks on this podcast.
Yeah, we're very excited about that.
And they talk about there's riches in the niches. The generalists don't make the money. There's riches in the niches. And so if you remember nothing else today in this podcast, ask, what am I focusing on so I can get really good at something here, or I can land, and does my vehicle support it?
Some important questions. I think it's great to write that stuff down. Look at it as a grid for you. Put an X on your map of where you want to go and how you want to get there, and answer these questions. Do you have qualified leads? Does your comp support the financing of these leads? Does your compensation support that? And are you getting sales training and coaching? And just put a little Y or an N next to those. And if you need help, if you need some advice or some direction, we are more than happy to be a compass to you and help you process some of those questions and where you're at and what you're trying to accomplish in your life insurance journey.
Well, that's a wrap for today's episode. Thanks so much for listening. If you'd like to get a hold of our team or review what we talked about today, you can visit the show notes page at liapodcast.org/EP42. That's liapodcast.org/EP42. As always, thanks so much for listening to the Life Insurance Academy podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to subscribe wherever you're listening, rate us 5 stars, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Life Insure Acad. Life Insurance Academy podcast is hosted, edited, and mixed by me, Austin Lopes-Vero. This episode was produced by Chris Ball. Our theme song is by Flashing Lights.